Welcome to day 2 of the Food Freedom course. My name is Dina Merhbi. I am a dietitian and NLP practitioner, and as well a yoga and mindfulness teacher. And I am so happy to have you here joining in on day 2, because this is going to be something that very often people don't talk about it, or they talk about it in a very different way. And I'm here really to clean everything up. So do make sure, if you are joining this live, comment right below. Tell me hello in the comments. However, if you're watching the replay as well, comment right below. Tell me what you are thinking regarding this course, and as well all the amazing takeaways I'm sure you are having. Because every time I ran this course live, people had breakthroughs after breakthroughs, because I'm creating a way, a system of seeing things in such a different and simple way. Because I truly believe simplicity is the key, and slow and steady always wins the race. So if you're joining in, make sure that you listen to day 1, because this actually creates the foundational work to help you stay the course. Again, it is not only about taking actions, but by actually understanding that we need to keep our eye on the prize, so that we can keep taking action even when some days are hard, even if our habits did not change, even if you don't see any physical change. We want to stay the course because it does take time. It does take a little bit of time to get your body and your mind to follow through with exactly what I'm sharing here. And remember, creating a change is the same thing as, for example, you want to get fit, right? It's not one workout or 2 workouts that are going to change and transform your body. It's being disciplined and consistent with the right physical training will help you get the body in the shape that you are seeking. And the same thing happens when you're struggling with stress eating, binge eating, emotional eating. There's a system, there's a process, and all you have to do is stick to it. Consistency and dedication and discipline creates that success. And what I'm going to be sharing with you today, which is actually day 2, we're going to be talking about the physical foundation, the physical work that we need to acknowledge to help us stop the binging, start living, and actually having a healthy relationship with food. And here is the thing. When I'm looking through what is being shared everywhere, we have a lot of talk about like intuitive eating, mindful eating, or even like seeing food as a food addiction. You have to stop eating those foods. You have to ban them for life, because otherwise it's like alcoholism. You can't have one and stop. Here's the thing. I'm going to say this. I understand some people have food addiction, but it is not the majority of the people. It's not the majority. Some people will have alcohol problems when they're going through a difficult time in their life, and as soon as they're able to go through that difficult time, alcohol is not tempting anymore. And I truly believe when you look at stress eating, binge eating, emotional eating, there is a physical reason why we're talking about today, but as well there's an emotional reason why we're going for it. An emotional reason, which is emotional coping, self-medicating in a certain way. However, before we dive into that, because I'm going to be diving into this topic in the future days, today I really want to get the foundational work that is the physical reasons why you're binge eating. Here is the thing. 20 years in the business, even I went through this. And trust me, every single person that came through my office that had a struggle with food actually had a shaky physical foundation. Because there's many reasons why you might be tempted to go binge eating. You might be thinking it's like lack of motivation, coping mechanism, triggers, watching TV, somebody else binging, and then you're binge eating or having that food in the house. Actually, one of the first things that I've noticed, that I've seen actually create the biggest breakthrough for my clients to create that change, is actually making sure they're eating according to what their body needs. And there's a whole list of why food is the first reason, the first path, the first work that we need to do before we get into the emotional work, to help us understand and really create that healing process with food and creating food freedom. So I'm going to list you certain things that it might kind of ring bells that maybe you are doing, or maybe you're not aware that you are doing it. Here's the thing. So one of the main reasons is lack of nutrients, dieting, restriction. When you're under eating, no matter how hard you try, your body's always going to be in a survival mode, no matter what. Nobody can live off 1,200 calories for life. Nobody can live off 1,500 calories for life. Unless you're like a toddler, you should not be eating that amount of calories, because your body's most important thing is survival. It's going to do everything possible for you to eat to survive. It's kind of amazing we have that system, but as well, you might be like, well, I have this weight to lose. I don't need to like survive. Let my body lose the weight and then I'll be eating okay. But here's the thing, your body does not know what you're doing. Your body, the only thing that it knows is that you're doing something that's actually harmful to it. And as soon as you're skipping a meal or following diet or staying hungry, that actually makes you like very hangry and angry around food, your body thinks there's a famine state. And with any signs of famine, what happens? Your hunger signals go up. So your body says, oh my God, something's not right. Let me crank up those hunger signals. And it actually muffles the fullness signals. That's what you're going to see within a few weeks of actually doing a diet. You get hungrier than usual. And when you start eating, you feel like a bottomless pit. It feels like you can eat and eat and eat and not feel full. And this is actually a survival mechanism. It's not because your body is broken. It's because your body is working. But what you are doing to it is actually breaking it down to go into this famine, starving state. And it's not only about calories. It's also about nutrients. It's something that I actually coined the terms myself a few years ago called first world malnourishment. Yeah, very often many people are actually malnourished. Even if they're eating enough calories, they're actually malnourished. And this can come from very different things. From focusing on a diet that cuts out a food group. So you cut out the carbs or the protein or the fat, you're missing all these minerals and all these vitamins and probably these macro and micronutrients that your body needs. And again, your body knows, your body is actually like this mega computer that knows exactly what it needs when it needs it and how much of it, right? We can't calculate it to the T because every single person is very different. So think about that. If your body's a mega computer, it's getting all this data of what you're eating, and it's like, well, something is missing. Hunger signal. Something's missing. Feed me, feed me, feed me. I need to fill up whatever is missing. Because when we're actually younger, the body actually sends the right signals. I'll give you the perfect example. Before I get my period, all I want is red meat. That's it. I can eat red meat every single day. And here's the thing. My body knows and it needs iron. So I'm actually able to decipher the cravings I'm having for the food that I actually need to be eating because of the phase I am in my cycle. Think about it. And when I was craving broccoli and spinach, I really needed the iron and I didn't get it. I would have a bowl of spinach and I could eat 2 and I could eat 3. And it's like, what is happening? I realized I was actually in iron deficiency. I just had to tune in and see where my body wanted to go, what it wanted to eat, because my mega computer was calculating it all and it was saying, listen, you're getting your period soon. Give me the iron because I know I'm going to be needing it very soon. I'm going to be needing to replenish it. And you have the same system. This system is not broken. Your mega computer is still there and working amazing. However, if you're going through a diet that kind of cuts out a whole category, again, your body's like, I'm missing something. Something is missing here. And it's going to send the cravings. And because we lost touch with what are those cravings, what is the body going to send signals for? Okay, well, I don't know what's missing. Let me just send signals to eat the thing that is the tastiest, highest calorie, fastest to absorb. Fast food, food that are labeled as junk food. Like, I don't believe in junk food, but I know a lot of people understand that term better. Chips, cookies, cakes, pizza, pasta, ice cream. Those are actually high density food. There's actually more calories per gram because of the sugar and the carbs and the fat, and as well the salt, the sensory craziness that might happen as well. This is just your body saying, listen, just give me anything. It might fill that void, but it doesn't actually fill that void. That's when we're looking in terms of nutrition. We do want to get out of this whole dieting industry, but we also want to make sure we have a varied eating lifestyle. I'm not talking about having whole foods or the whole 30. Again, that can be another stressor that can actually create binge eating because we're cutting out a whole food category and then you just want to eat it all when it's in sight. But having that variety around you of, fresh, frozen, packaged, raw, cooked, like everything possible, you're going to be making sure that you're actually filling up what your body needs so that the the mega computer is like, okay, I'm good. This is what we've seen in terms of first world malnourishment. We're actually eating, but we're actually missing all those micro and macronutrients that we need in a variety. And that's when we keep eating the same thing every single day. You need to make sure, do you have actually, yes, I'm going to say it, the 4 food groups. You have your carbs, your proteins, your vegetables, your fruits, and your fats. You need all that. I put fat in its own category because you need fat to survive. Because, by the way, fat does not make you fat. Thinking fat makes you crave the fat. And then what happens? Your body ends up storing whatever calorie extra it doesn't burn. So when you look at that, you need to have your carbs, your proteins, your vitamins that comes from fruits and vegetables, and your fats. When you have that varied during the day, your body's calmer. So you actually took care of that first world malnourishment because you have that variety of food between a mix of fresh and frozen and processed, like everything together. It's like a happy family. You don't have to cut all the processed foods out. And this is the thing as well, is that we need to be aware, even if we're eating the right amount of calories. I know there's no right amount, your body knows. Be like, I'm eating enough and I think I have a variety. However, not every single person has the same internal eating clock. Some people need to eat every 2 hours. Some people need to eat every 4 hours. Some people, it varies between 2 and 5 hours. So it's really kind of like a wave throughout the day. And one of the main things that actually I have seen, and probably you have experienced it as well, is having that 3 p.m. crash. Or that your cravings or your binge eating actually go up at night. And here's a reason why. Very often during the day, we have the motivation to restrict our eating, to follow the plan. But then when we get tired, remember that mega computer kind of rise up and say, oh, she's not seeing what's happening. I need hunger. I need the cravings. I need to eat. So that actually brings up the craving. We end up binge eating because you probably did not eat enough according to what your body needs during the day. But as well, maybe you didn't eat regularly enough that actually made you drop your blood sugar level. But again, that causes a panic in your system and increases the cravings and the hunger. So keep an open mind when you think like, I just need to like simmer down and stick to my plan and like eat those protein shakes. No, you can live without protein shakes unless you enjoy them. But again, first world malnourishment. Are you having a variety to feed your system to say, hey, here's a little bit of everything? So we look at the calorie deficiency, nutrient deficiency, your internal eating clock. Are you eating according to when your body actually needs to eat the food to be at optimal level? Every person is very different. And another thing that I think you're also going to be realizing is that hydration. Now, not in the way that you're thinking. I don't think you should be drinking 2 glasses of water before a meal. Like, to be honest, this is the worst thing to do for your digestive enzyme, to drink, to fill up, like a lot of the dieting world. But you're drinking enough during the day because in your brain, thirst and hunger are very connected. And when the thirst is like, lighting up, but then it's next to the hunger, what's more tempting, drinking or eating? Let's be honest, it's eating. Eating is always more tempting than drinking, let's be honest. And with that in mind, you're going to end up actually eating something when your body probably was just hungry. Just hungry. I had to double check I was recording this. I think this talk is so amazing and I can't wait to have more people joining in this food freedom course. So when you look in terms of all that, I'm sure there's a lot of things, like, okay, like I need to eat a little bit more regular. There's a balance that is needed. I need to be hydrated. But then there's the thing of like, how do I know what my body needs? You need to create a system. It usually takes 2 to 4 weeks of eating at a regular pattern. And I do that with my clients. I help them kind of understand. They tell me what their symptoms and their habits and their lifestyle is, and I actually create a plan with them where I think I know where their hunger is. It in the morning? Is it in the afternoon? Because that could be different. Some people are hungry in the morning and others are in the afternoon, and we need to adapt to that. We cannot eat cookie cutter like the person next to us every single day. So when you're creating that, we're able to actually have a head start before the body panics. So we feed it before it panics. We feed it before it panics. So when we create that kind of pattern, the body's like, okay, I'm good, I'm fed. And then the body calms down. And when the body calms down, the cravings calm down, the binge eating calm down. And what's amazing, when you're not in a famine state, because when you're in famine, your metabolism goes down. So when you're not in a famine state and your body's like, okay, I'm being fed, I can be at my full potential, guess what happens? Your metabolism goes up. And metabolism is amazing for energy, focus, digestion, fitness, better sleep. It's like linked to everything that we need. So when you see there's a whole cycle in terms of, are you eating according to what your body needs? Not what you think your body needs, but actually tuning in. And this cannot be necessarily done with intuitive eating and mindful eating. And I'll be honest, this is amazing. Like, I do love intuitive eating in terms of the final part of the recovery process. Really being intuitive to saying, well, like, now I'm not that hungry, and being able to go with the waves depending on what your meals are. But in the beginning, you have to be a little bit more regular. You have to be more into the planning mode. You have to, again, prevent the body from being hungry in a certain way to help it to calm down. We cannot, just, oh, I think I'm hungry. I don't think I'm hungry. We're very messed up with our hunger and our fullness signals when we have cravings and binge eating, because we don't know. Am I really hungry? Or am I just emotionally hungry? Am I anxiety hungry? Do I think I'm hungry? Is it a taste hunger? Is it I smell the bakery and I'm hungry right now? Because there's 8 different levels of hunger. 8 different types of hunger, and we should only be eating for 2 types out of the 8. So with that in mind, as I drink a little bit of water, when you look at the physical thing, there is such transformational work that we can do there, that a lot of people that actually just do that, their cravings and binge eating like almost disappear. And then if there's any emotional things, we can actually work on it. Because when you're able to take care of the physical reason, working on the triggers and the emotional aspect that we're going to be talking in the next few days is so much easier. And you know why it's easier? It's easier to do the emotional work when you're not hungry. It's easier to do the emotional work when you already had some wins of no cravings and no binge eating. It's easier to do the emotional work when you feel better, more energized, sleeping better, not bloated from the binge eating the last night. You feel better. And when you feel better, you're able to think clearer in terms of what's happening in your day-to-day. You're able to work better on the emotional eating patterns, the self-sabotaging thoughts, and the triggers that are keeping you in this maybe binge eating loop. But the second, I know I talked about the mindset, but the foundational work, before we jump into any other work, it is the physical foundation. We need to make sure that we get a partnership. We become friends with our body and not our enemy. Our body just wants the best for you. Creating this kind of partnership with your body, it calms everything down. And then we're able to actually focus and think forward instead of being fear and falling backwards. This is why I'll give you some homework today for this. But this is why when you're working with somebody in terms of stress eating, cravings, and binge eating, I am so happy I'm a dietitian, because I'm actually able to build the plans for my clients. I'm actually able to tell them to better understand what they're going through and explain it to them and give them that. And everybody had a breakthrough with it. And that's exactly what I do in my private coaching, in my group coaching. It's better understanding what your body needs. And there is a bit of a personalization that is needed. There's also some ground foundational work that you can do that can help you, like I'm sharing in just a few seconds. But we cannot let go of the cravings, ban certain foods, stop going to events, or just drinking protein shakes, expecting to create a healthy relationship with food. Because I'm not like any other coach. Number one, a lot of people that work with binge eating haven't actually gone through it. I've gone through it. There's also another type of people that went through binge eating that didn't have the big weight changes. Heck, I was almost 200 pounds. I get it. I get the anxiety and stress of gaining the weight and nothing fitting and not wanting to go out to an event. I get it. And the confidence is just shot with that. But as well, a lot of people don't actually talk about the nutritional aspect. They do, but they actually go into restrictive mode. They talk about intermittent fasting, keto, paleo, carb cycling. Listen, if you want to do that, you want to do that. But I want to be able to wake up and know exactly what I want. Like, oh, I'm hungry, I'll eat this. I feel like this. And I'm able to connect to what my body needs. I'm able to have drawers of chocolate and chips and ice cream. And it's there. I even sometimes forget that it's there. For me, that is what food freedom is. It's not I go and I eat whatever I want. It's I'm hungry. I go eat what I feel like eating. I'm sure I have a nice variety because I know my body craves all that. And I had to go to bed not even worried because I knew I was so connected to my body, everything was okay. Sometimes I go to events and I might eat a little bit more because that dessert is like to die for. Okay. The next day, I keep going exactly how I'm doing. I don't plan or restrict or calorie count or say, oh, I should not have breakfast because I had a double dessert yesterday. No, I trust that my body will follow me through because, side note, when you're able to create this kind of nice balance with your body, that you're working together, kind of like a waltz, you're like dancing together. If there's one day I actually end up eating too much, guess what happens on those days? The body does not like to eat too much. It actually wakes up its metabolism to burn off those extra calories, and then you continue the next day as if nothing happened. This is food freedom. This is what I want for you. And this, no matter what you try, cannot be accomplished by cutting certain foods, avoiding certain foods, avoiding events, and thinking that, oh, you've had this for a few years or 20 years and you cannot change. You can. The reason why you're binge eating is your body is saying something is off and your mind is saying there's way too much to cope. So what you are eating is within your control in the sense that you can decide a different path. You can decide a different path. The path is food freedom. Having the foods all that you love, no restriction. And even one of my clients did, I love that. Even once my client ordered a pizza. By the time the pizza arrived, she had a bite. She's like, oh, actually, I didn't feel like a pizza. She actually made herself fish and vegetables. And she's like, oh, now I feel good. Like, I feel like my body needed that. She never thought in her life she would order a pizza, eat a bite or two, and actually go cook herself something else. And you know what she did with that pizza, which I love telling my clients? Wrap them up in foil, put them in the freezer, and they're always there ready for you whenever you want them. And this is food freedom, is that you can still eat your favorite foods, but you eat them when you actually want that food and not for starvation, not because you're lacking nutrients or not because for emotional triggers. Sometimes you might emotionally eat and you'll have a slice or two. We're talking about like the loss of control and it really impacting your day to day. That can happen. But the first thing I'm going to share with you, the homework right now, is that we need to get your physical foundation set. I do that with all my clients until I see their body calming and I see their cravings and their binge eating really going down. Like they go down by like almost 75% within a few weeks. Then we start talking about the emotional aspect. Again, simplicity is the key. You don't want to do too much at the same time, and slow and steady always wins the race. So today's homework, I'm going to give you just two things. Two things. I want you to make sure you're drinking enough water, 1.5 to 2 liters of water. Water can be bubbled water. I prefer water. It can be herbal teas and so on, but I just like pure water just to get into the habit of it. You can put a bit of juice in it, or actually you can make herbal tea and cool it off, and that is an amazing way. And I want you to spread it during the day. Throughout the day, you have your water. The second thing I want you to do is to set an alarm and to eat every 3 hours, no matter what. It's a test. Eating every 3 hours. The thing is, we're going to make sure that you're not getting that blood sugar drop. You're going to make sure that you're not going to be coming home after work famished. And for sure, you're not going to have this like 3 p.m. sugar crash because you ate every 3 hours. There's more to the system, but I don't want to overwhelm you. Just by doing the water and eating every 3 hours, everything can change. Again, if you're watching this live, comment right below. I'll get to your Q&A at the end of this course. If you're watching this on the replay, again, comment right below. The aim behind this course is to make sure I give you this nice foundational work to better understand what you need to move forward. And as well, if you're kind of curious in terms of how we can work together, or you're like, I would like to have some private coaching to understand what is my own internal eating clock, because I create plans that I call them the body code, the health map body code, to actually help the clients understand exactly what their body is telling them to fine-tune their plan, and they're actually able to follow it and adapt it as much as they want. Just send me a message. I'd be happy to see how we can work together. But on that note, don't forget the homework, water, and eat every 3 hours. And do make sure you tune into day 3, because now we're starting to get into the emotional triggers, the self-sabotaging thoughts, and as well how we use food as a self-medicating habit that keeps us kind of in this loop, and how we can actually start to create that break to free ourselves from it so that we can really create food freedom on your terms by still eating your favorite foods. On that note, my name is Dina Merhbi. I wish you a beautiful and a balanced day, and I'll catch you in the next training.